Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Troy with Cichlid Bros. In today's video, we are doing another fish transfer. We are moving so many fish into tanks like this one and just all across my fish room today. So I can't wait to show what I had in store today. Let's dive right in. Okay, so starting off here is the 180 gallon aquarium. And if you remember in the previous video, we transferred the big cichlids into my 500 gallon plywood aquarium. It was a huge upgrade for them. It was one of the most fun videos I think I've ever made. And those fish look so good in the tank. They've been doing well for over a week in there. And that left us with an empty 180 gallon aquarium. And I also had some fish tanks in my fish room, the 75 gallon tank and the two 20 gallon tanks with the Cuban cichlids that I was kind of waiting on making changes with until I moved these fish into that big plywood tank. So as you may know, that 75 gallon tank has been a holding tank for my electric blue acara babies for quite some time now. I probably had about 90 electric blue acara fry that have been growing up with me. It's been a really rewarding process. I absolutely love electric blue acara. These guys came from a pair of acara in my 150 gallon aquarium, and I moved them into bigger tanks along the way, and now they've been in the 75 gallon tank for a while, and the numbers have dwindled a little bit as I've given some away to subscribers and followers in my area, and then I gave a pretty big batch to my local fish store, so I knew that they would find great homes. I also moved 3 of the biggest of them into my 500 gallon plywood tank, which were joined by all the big cichlids from my 180. And I just couldn't part with the rest of these guys. I think I have maybe 13 of them left in the 75 gallon tank, but more on that in a second. For a short period of time, these guys were joined by 3 German red peacocks, and this was just temporary. It was kind of a holding grow out tank, quarantine tank mix, and the peacocks were looking great and they grew just a bit, big enough to put into my 135 gallon aquarium with the peacocks and haps. So this was weeks ago when I netted out those peacocks and I added it to my 135 here, and it really filled in the tank. I love the added numbers to this aquarium. I could probably add a couple more peacocks and haps in the future, and I will likely do that soon. But these German red peacocks came from our buddies at Psyche. Go check out their YouTube channel. These were really healthy babies that we actually saw when they were fry about a year ago. And then next to that 75 gallon tank is my 2 20 gallon tanks that have been holding the Cuban cichlids. This is a pair that I had separated, not only because the tanks were kind of small, but also I didn't want any aggression in the meantime. And I've had these guys in here way too long. It was really delayed by the plywood tank build and how long that took me. But I need to get these Cuban cichlids into their home, and that means moving the electric blue acara. The whole aquascape and complete setup of this tank will be its own video, so it's okay if we change things around here. We are mainly just trying to get the electric blue acara. And we will come back and talk more about this 180 gallon aquarium after we move the acara, so let's get to it. So we got the tank draining, we have a bucket with some water, and I did pull out some of the rocks, driftwood, and fake plants, and we are going to get these guys out here in a second. Let's go. So I finally caught all of them. They're in the bucket, and as you can see, I did have to take out everything from the tank to get them. Actually pretty hard to catch them all, so glad to finally have that done. Now on to the next step. So I got the 75 gallon tank filled up. Next, I need to get the 2 Cuban cichlids out of these tanks by draining them and then moving them over. I'm also going to build a little DIY divider in here just for the time being so they get used to each other without completely attacking each other, hopefully. Okay, so we got one of the Cuban cichlids in there, and I just installed this tank divider. So this DIY egg crate cut to size so that we have half and half of the tank. That way the 2 Cuban cichlids can kind of get to know each other, and hopefully that will reduce any aggression once that tank divider is removed. So next up we have the 20 gallon here, and what I believe to be the female Cuban cichlid. So let's drain this and get her moved over to the other half. So we got this draining. You can see the Cuban hiding out in the background barely, just staring at me like, what are you doing? Well, I'm getting you a bigger home here. So now I'm gonna go ahead and catch this Cuban cichlid, hopefully, and put him in this half since we got the other hanging out over there. Let's hopefully get this guy in one quick swoop. We got him. All right. Boom, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to let both of them settle in before we get some better footage. A lot of these dragonstone rocks are going to be used in the final scape, but it's going to look totally different. I just didn't want to set it all up with the tank divider in there right now. We will probably come back to this tank in about a week or so to remove the divider and set up the whole aquascape, and I have a really good idea for that. I cannot wait. So I'm really excited to finally have those Cuban cichlids in a bigger home, a little bit more of a water volume for them, even though there's a tank divider in there right now. And I cannot wait to give them their permanent aquascape and to remove that divider. I think they're gonna look absolutely incredible in there. It's gonna be a cool video. Rambo, do you like the Cuban cichlids? But we do still have that bucket of electric blue acara, so what are we gonna do with that? And yep, we're putting it in the 180. Let's do it.
Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue.
Okay, so I get it. You probably are surprised I put the electric blue acara in this tank, but hear me out. So first off, I wanted to keep this tank cycled, and this will be a quarantine tank for my new Stingray that's coming very soon. And the acaras are pretty small and relatively peaceful, so they should do no harm to that Stingray. So it's kind of a win-win situation because I get to see the activity and the colors of those acara in here, let them grow out even further, and see them interact with my new Stingray as it becomes comfortable in its new tank very soon. And this whole process of getting the Stingray and quarantining it in my 180 here will probably take about a month and a half to 2 months, so that's another 2 months to figure out what I'm going to be doing with these electric blue acara, and who knows, by that time I might have a good tank dedicated to them. We will see. And as I mentioned before, once the Stingray is done with quarantining in this tank, it'll move into the plywood aquarium. Then the electric blue acaras will move again. They'll move out of this tank because I have plans for what I'm permanently going to be doing in this tank, and that will be coming after that full process is complete. So there's so much coming. I cannot wait to show not only the Cuban cichlid setup, but also the 180-gallon aquarium, the permanent changed setup that I have here, and what I'm stocking it with. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Cannot wait. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.